gone. Thank you. I call to order the Town Council regular session. The time is 7:30, and the date is Monday, October 27th. And if we could please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we please have the roll call, Dale?
Council President Whaley.
Here.
Council Vice President McAtee.
Here.
Councilwoman Healy.
Here.
Councilman O'Neill.
Here.
4 members present. Councilman Donnelly is absent.
Thank you, Dale. We also have the approval of the minutes of previous meetings. We have the work session of October 14th, 2014.
I move approval of those minutes.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 400. We also have the regular session of October 14th, 2014.
I move approval of those minutes.
Second.
Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 400. Would any council like anything removed from the consent agenda?
Hearing none, I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have a license, and we have a young lady in the audience who I haven't seen in a long time. This is a resolution granting a holiday sale license to Two Dots, 344 Main Street, Suite 103B, Wakefield, Rhode Island. Application by Karen Marchetti, 48 Silver Lake Avenue, Wakefield, and this is new. And welcome. And if you'd like to come to the microphone and tell us a little bit about your new endeavor.
Hi, thank you for having me tonight. I'm opening up a yarn, craft, and consignment shop, which is things that people, local artists, knit, crochet, maybe even draw paintings or something. And we sell it there at the store.
Sounds exciting. Would you like to talk about, the cameras are on you, would you like to talk about your hours of operation?
Well, we're hoping to be open on holidays, that's why we're here. I have lessons on Saturdays. I can do birthday parties on Sunday. But I'll be open from 10 in the morning until 5 in the evening, and then we have classes scheduled various times during the week. And hope to see everybody there.
Nice. So for the kids' birthday parties, would they do like friendship bracelets or what kind of things?
Crafts of all kinds. We've had a couple of different, it's not just knitting and crocheting. We can do all kinds of I'm an elementary teacher, so I do a lot of things that the kids don't do in school anymore. So we're trying to bring in the crafts, and it's competitively priced. But I do have a small assortment of yarn. My husband thinks it's a wide assortment, but in a knitter's point of view, it's a small assortment. But I do have a lot of other little notions and odds and ends. And it's in conjunction with the quilt shop upstairs. They send their people down, and I send my people up.
It's great. It's good to see you, Karen.
Good to see you, too.
Questions here at the Town Council? Jim?
No questions, but welcome to the neighborhood. I'm at 380 Main Street, and it's really great to see that spot filled, and
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay. Can
I
we have a
move
motion?
approval of new license A.
Second.
We have motion and second. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 400. And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
Okay, next item on the agenda for the audience is page 7, I believe. Page 7 brings us back to the public hearing. This is a public hearing continued from October 14th, 2014. It's relative to an application for expansion of a license to keep and sell alcoholic beverages in South Kingston in accordance with the general laws of 1956 as amended as follows. And I'm not going to read any further. Welcome, Mr. Kenyon.
Thank you. Good evening. Once again, I'm John Kenyon, attorney for the applicant, SWT LLC. This matter was continued from your last meeting just on the issue of the expansion of the liquor service to the outside area. As requested, my client set up some tables, some stanchions on Friday afternoon and then again today. I believe all the council members were able to make it out there. And I'm going to have Scott come up. He has some pictures, and he can give you some general, what feedback he received from the public in general.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
If I could have the package of photographs marked as, I believe we're on Exhibit 4. And Scott, can you explain what you just passed out?
Yeah, they're pictures of the setup that we did Friday and today. And what you'll see, and one of the pictures is not of the subject restaurant. It's a picture of where we envision where we would like to end up with the, you'll see it's the one with the white, with the tablecloth. I'm not saying we would have tablecloths like that, but I think what's represented in that picture is close to what we're envisioning, and that is with the windows that would open up and then be basically right next to, adjacent to the tables that are outside. And what that allows is it does a couple of things. There's contact with the staff from the inside of the operation, watching what's happening outside. And the way we're configured, with even the bartender behind the bar, would in effect be able to look out those windows and at least see the activity to some degree. Maybe not see the entire person out there, but there would be visual, there would be, maybe not every moment of everyone sitting there, but there would be some contact visually from the inside to the outside, and it also brings the outside in for those dining inside. So that kind of shows what we're looking to do. And then the other pictures shows our attempt to create what we might do out there. The tables that you'd see in those pictures are a little larger on the front, width-wise. They represent the length, pretty much. But the width, they're larger. They're indoor tables, and the exterior tables would be not quite as wide as that.
And just so there's no confusion, the windows you're talking about aren't there now, but those are what you're proposing.
Right. We would install those windows linear to the building to where then they could open up. And if they were closed, they would then be glass windows. You still would be able to see out there. If it were off-season and someone were to decide to sit out there, there'd be some interaction between the inside and the outside, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
And the photographs show the stanchions that you had out there?
Yes, we tried to display it two ways. One with the stanchions, and for the most part, those pictures show that we are able to serve inside those stanchions. And then I guess what I didn't include is photographs that then show those stanchions removed. Now, when we looked at it both ways, with the stanchions set up and then with the stanchions removed, it was noted, and we also noted, that there seemed to be a lot more flow for everyone without the stanchions. But I wanted to show it with the stanchions, that there still is ample room for the service staff behind those stanchions to then service the guests. But the example of where we want to be, that tablecloth picture, there are no stanchions, and there's a better flow. And so our first choice would be not to have the stanchions. I think it just seems to flow better, but it would still function with them.
If you were to not have the stanchions, well, how would you propose to delineate the the service area?
We had a couple good suggestions. One gentleman was doing some work there in the area, and he said, geez, you can countersink these brass markers around the edge of the service area. And then we had another good idea. We can paint or do sort of a mosaic impression on and that's the idea I think we'd like to go with, is something where we'd be actually staining the concrete into more of it would look sort of like a tile mosaic, which would outline that area to clearly delineate. It would show this is our service area. Not only that would then be the area under the awning. So as the passerby sees the awning, they automatically, they don't naturally want to walk under an awning. There's ample room, and I've got the measurements. I did make some I've got the more detailed measurements. If anyone were to ask, I can answer the number of inches on the various areas to pass by. But then below, having that different mosaic tile coloration would then delineate that as a service area as well, I think.
Even with the stanchions, was there enough room to
Oh, yeah.
by?
Yep.
Is it just that the stanchions, they
Well, they
seem a little out of place
They don't look
there?
as good.
Yeah.
They just don't look as good. And it does, there is more room, there's more room for more traffic without them, because we're not taking all the space that the property line actually owns.
Did you have any feedback from
We
people in
did.
general?
Yeah, a lot of people driving by, honking horns, thumbs up. We did get that. And neighbors came by and introduced themselves, and people said they liked sitting on the Columbia side. The sun is different over there, and we explained that they saw the tables are smaller, and people would sit there as well. I think they're different sides of the building have different sun at different times of the day, and I asked this one gentleman, he was running the crew, there was these two big Verizon trucks, and he's got all these people doing all this Verizon stuff. There was like 6 of them, and he said he would choose to sit on that side. And I said, which side would you sit on? Oh, I'd sit here. So you never know. He liked it.
Okay, do we have any questions here at the town council table? Meg?
Not necessarily a question, but I did want to make a comment, particularly on the front side. I do have to commend you where you softened up the corner as you're coming around Columbia Street with the smaller table and at the main entrance. I hope this is appropriate, but I would say get rid of the stanchions, because I think it even makes it look even more crowded in and too busy. And if you want to create an outdoor cafe type setting, less is more. That's just my own personal opinion. But when I went there and I saw the stanchions, and certainly they work particularly in the front of the building, I would just prefer not to have them there when I was sitting out there. I don't think it's necessary.
It did, at first we didn't even consider it, and then when we were putting them out and back, I totally agree. We both agree with what you're saying, and I think, it can happen. We can delineate that space, but why? It's not necessary. You go to the cafes in Europe and in Boston, and, they're just served, they control it, and we would delineate it with the mosaic and the awning over. The awning.
I'm more concerned people are tripping over them at some point in time, or people work, I'm just thinking about liability issues. I'm not an attorney by any means, but I'm thinking about liability issues as well, and I don't think they're really necessarily needed in the front of the building.
I think the part of the purpose of putting them out was to show where the property line was, and
It's
it
pretty
did
much-
show that there's a lot of space there for the table and the service, right?
Well, certainly on Main Street there is. On the Columbia sides, there is, we measured it, there's 73 inches from the wall to the curb, not counting the curb, and we're lucky that the curb is flush, so that's, that is a little bit of a extra space there, but we're not counting that. So that is 40 inches from the property line. And if we remove the stanchions, the 40 inches for anyone going by just gets wider. It then, with the tables being 17, the entire space is 73 inches. It just makes it, it makes it very workable.
Jim?
Yeah, will any of your construction plans change on the side of the building on Columbia Street if you do not get permission to serve alcohol? You can serve food, obviously, because that's private property, but would any of your plans change with the windows, anything else on the Columbia Street side?
Yeah, that might not, it wouldn't, well, would our construction plans change inside the
You
building?
talked about putting windows all along that side. I mean, that's not going to change,
We would like to do that either way, that's right.
so you're going to do that either way.
Yep.
And that's where the service entry would be, correct?
I'm sorry?
That's where the doorway to the service entry to come out would be?
Yes, there's a separate doorway for serving Columbia side as there is for Main Street. So that would be one server's station, and Columbia side. And that server would come out the north side on Columbia.
So the server on Main Street would come out on the Main Street side?
Right, yep.
I know that you really want these seats on Columbia Street, but I'm not convinced that there's enough room there. I'm sorry. I went out there today, and I know you have a great vision. I just can't see it. I'm with you on the tables on the Main Street side.
Well, like I said, when the windows get in and they're sitting next to those windows, it will be a nice place to sit. In addition, if you see the roof line on the drawing,
No, I
that
see
roof
what
line, the overhang, where it says limit of overhang, that's the existing overhang now, and we're going to carry that and wrap it around and tie it in with the awnings in the front. So those tables they'll be cozy, they'll be nice. You'll be sitting underneath there, it'll be very nice, there still will be plenty of room to go by. But if we restrict those strictly to food, then you can't tell somebody you can do this or not do that. It would make them not really viable, and it just wouldn't work. And
Well, you always have the right to serve food and out, up until your property line.
Right,
It's just
right, I
whether we give you
understand
the liquor license to expand to that side. So that's
Well-
what we're entertaining tonight. I mean, you have the right to serve food out there,
right, right.
and soft drinks and coffee.
But on the other side of that, it's relatively commercial, and if you were to drive by there right now and sit at those tables, and I think that's what's important. We did this after the last meeting. It's quiet, very few cars, there's no residential component, and it is a nice place to sit out there and not be restricted with what you're ordering. And that's what it's important to us. And part of it is the economics. The building is narrow, and during the season, it would be nice to be running on all cylinders and not have then a restricted area where then, I don't think it would then be viable, and we will have pretty much eye contact with these people. We'll have people sitting on the inside of the building and people sitting right here, separated by basically air in the window. We'll have control of it. I don't see why that it's just my opinion, and it's our design that it'll be interactive. They'll be seeing the people in the restaurant and the staff inside will be seeing the people outside. And we were there with the crossing guard today. I didn't see one child being crossed at that intersection. We were there all day, or at least during the school. We've been there I was there at 2:45, right up till now. Maybe she crossed a couple people when we weren't looking, but there was no other traffic other than the street traffic, which then starts to die off around dinner time, and then to not let somebody sit out there and have wine with their, if they're smaller tables, like calamari or whatever they're having, why would we want to restrict them?
When you say it's not viable, are you saying the whole plan fails if you don't get these 10 seats out there? Is that what you're saying?
It's important to us. What it is in this business, we are constantly competing with these chains. We're competing with Panera Bread, and they're 3.5 ounces of meat they put on their sandwich. And it's just, margins are tougher and tougher in this business. When it's harvest time in this business, and in order to pay a real kitchen staff, and the struggle in the restaurant business is always the labor in the kitchen. You know, the front of the house labor, you probably always know, the bartenders, they do fairly well, the servers do well on tips. It's the kitchen staff. So in order to pay these people, you need a certain number of tables to make it viable. They need places where they can serve food. People are going to come in and they're going to say, "Oh, I can't have a glass of wine. Well, I don't want that table. I'm going to wait for this, or I'm going to come back another night." Or it would make those tables non-revenue producing tables. And it's not just about the revenue. The revenue will help support paying the people in the kitchen to keep the level of the food a step up from just the chains are taking over the entire country. So these independent restaurants, we are a dying breed. And my feeling is, let the customer decide. Here we're trying to decide where someone wants to sit. There's nothing across the street. We're right there. We have visual icon, you know, we can see and manage these people from the inside. And, you know, if we don't have the problem yet, why be restricted when we don't even have that problem yet? We haven't got the problem.
Scott, you know, I don't think the issue for us is whether you can see them inside or out the window. I mean, obviously, you need to have some view to see who's sitting out there. The fact is, we're trying to decide whether to give you a liquor license on that side of the road with a very narrow sidewalk. I've heard you say, Boston, they do this. Not on a narrow sidewalk. I go to Boston just let me speak, on a regular basis, and you will not see tables and chairs on a narrow sidewalk. You will see them on the wider ones. But, and maybe in, you know, Paris and Europe, they do things like that, but that's not necessarily the way everything is done. I don't think the plan for the restaurant should be hinged on these 10 seats. I think, you know, you've got some support here. Maybe you could come back if we gave you the license for the Main Street side, and then at a later date, you could come back and ask, you know, it's working out so well here, we think we have a good idea for the other side, and we could take it step by step, but I just don't see this being the drop-dead point for your restaurant, whether you get these 10 seats out there or not. The tables are so tiny.
Well, yeah, we made them, they could be a little wider, not necessarily linear. They could go from 17 to 24 inches without impacting any of the walkway, but
We have to be concerned with people getting by. We have to be concerned with, and I know you've measured everything, but it's still not that simple.
I'm saying, if they're walking by and you're eating a piece of lasagna, or you're eating a piece of lasagna with a glass of Oki Chardonnay, they're still walking by and you're eating the lasagna. That's my point.
The person is right on top of the table, walking by, where you have more room on the main street. I mean, we could argue this all day long. I think maybe you should hear some of the others feel.
Jim?
Yeah, I asked the last time, and I just want to be clear on this. Both Main Street and Columbia Street, we don't have a contract that's contingent on that. I thought this contract was settled and done. Is there anything about this approval from the town council that could either hold up that this contract being, recorded? Where are we with this?
Well, we have not closed on the transaction yet. The contract does have a license contingency. But if I can make a suggestion before we get into all this.
I really would like an answer to that, Scott. Scott, at our last meeting, we said, my gosh, go for it inside. We'd even give you those 10 extra seats inside. And frankly, personally, I love to see a crowded restaurant. If you're spread out on both those streets and inside, that doesn't really excite me. I'd rather see a waiting line. But anyway, what were you going to add? But I'm just not... I don't understand, as Carol said, the 10 seats out of, 20 on Main Street and 140 inside, 150?
Well, let me just address that. And certainly I see the difference between Main Street and Columbia. There's a difference there. And part of it is the vision we have for, as you pull down Main Street and you see the building, and the way we're wrapping the windows around to have those tables, just for the look even, to have those tables. And if I could suggest possibly maybe an approach would be to let us prove up on Columbia Street. And I understand that, maybe there's no resistance or a little resistance to Main Street. Maybe if Main Street were approved and Columbia Street, maybe we have a trial period. I'd like to be able to put it out there, build the thing, put the awning around it, and show you that it does work, and let the proof be in the pudding, and take a look at it.
Well, I really believe that this council has bent over backwards on the parking issue. You do have a 1 year. I think we even said at the last meeting, I said at the last meeting that I'd do whatever I could to even help soften that parking issue. But these 10 seats, it doesn't make sense out of the 160. I'm sorry, it is not clicking with me. And I sat there the other day, and you laughed about this, but as a right-hander, I'm out 3 feet from the wall because I have to be able to eat or lift a coffee. And you didn't measure it that way. We measured almost 3 feet the way I sit. And then when you sat sideways, you were partially into the walkway beyond the property line. What do I have when I have 2 people crossing? Suppose one person passing another hits the edge of the curb, falls out into traffic, breaks an ankle or something. Forget about being run over by a car. I'm really having trouble with this, where you don't have that on the Main Street side. People can pass one another, and with a server there, you have the room to negotiate. So I don't know why we're battling over this unless there's a problem with the contract.
Well, it's more the economics of the restaurant. It all comes down to the number of seats you can serve in season, where you've got June, July, and August. And it just, again, if we were able to show you or have this side be on a demonstration purpose, in other words, if there's some issue with it, give us a trial period on this side. First off, nothing's happening through the winter anyway through this. When summer rolls around and we have the windows in, I would, propose that the board allows us to, on the Columbia side, have a trial period. Let's try it for just this one getting open for this summer. Let's have the building look the way we want to have it look.
I'm going to go Carol and then back to Jim, unless you're not done, Jim.
I just
Are you
wanna-
done?
No.
I want to ask Mike, there is no such thing as a trial period for a liquor license. I mean, we give liquor licenses for 1 year period, and they're renewable each year, isn't that correct?
Yeah, that is normally the way it works. However, you do have the discretion to give a liquor license out for a shorter period of time. It's not mandatory that it be for a year.
Okay.
But I just wanted to
Jim?
also say, Ella, thank you, that this council in the past few years, we have, if someone comes to us with a good plan, we go right at it. We don't wait until the period is up, the year period is up. If someone's got a good plan, if I see the waiting lines out there, I'll put in the resolution or ordinance. But, gee, I really think we've really gone out on a limb here on the parking issue. That's one of my more concerns with people pulling out. I know that's a tight lot between you and the hairdresser spot behind there. I just see a little problem parking coming and going there. The Storty home will certainly help. But I think the trial period that this council or the next council will certainly be able to determine if you need those seats on Columbia Street. I'm having a problem supporting that, unless you tell me you have a problem with the contract, and I'm not hearing this. Is this contract, John, can I ask you, is this contract subject on getting the 20 seats there and the 10 on the side?
I'm not handling the real estate
Oh,
part of
okay.
it, so I haven't seen the contract.
I mean, there's 130 seats, 140 altogether, is that correct?
Inside, right?
Inside and outside?
No, we were proposing 170 total.
Okay, 140 inside, 20 on the front, and 10 on the other side.
71 downstairs and 69 upstairs, totaling 140. And then we were proposing for 30 outside, and that's where we come up with the 170.
30 outside.
Other comments here from the town council? Carol?
I'm inclined to go forward with the 20 on the Main Street side, see how that goes, like Jim said. If it turns out that you're busting at the seams on the outside with 140 seats on the inside, then, I mean, that's a very ambitious project to fill up that many seats, but I hope for your sake it works out, but I'm inclined to grant the liquor license on the front, on Main Street for the 20 seats, and not for the Columbia Street side. I just don't, I mean, I didn't sit there, I did come out there and look at it, but people sit in those chairs, the feet are way out, you know, there's nowhere to go. Somebody's trying to come by in either a wheelchair or a kid on a bike or just walking a group of people. I
Yeah,
just
we
don't even know
had-
why you want to put it out there, to tell you the truth. I don't really see it as that appealing.
Well, we had people come by that just thought they would, we had people, we were there a total of 8 hours
Well,
with
you
this
can
setup.
you can serve coffee and whatever you're talking about out there, but I mean, you're asking us to give you a liquor license out there, and that's,
But the
I think
liquor
it's
is,
too,
how would that
it's
be?
too out in the
affect-
road, it's too right out in the people.
Well, how about if we put the stanchions on that side? So
I
it
don't
was a
care about the
you know.
stanchions.
I would just like to, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have a suggestion where maybe that is on a first summer trial basis, see how it goes, and that's all I can say, is that to us it's important, and we think that people will be happy with it, and we think we can manage it. And
I think with all the changes you're making at the building, it's going to be so lovely inside with the windows open and everything, upstairs and down. People aren't necessarily going to want to sit over there, but, I mean, I don't know, that it's your business.
Other comments? Well, as town council president, I'm supposed to wait till the end to make my comments. So, right now, Scott, I just want to give you a little bit of background where I'm coming from. I'm a retired school teacher who has set an example for children, been a member of the South Kingstown Partnership for Prevention, which is an organization that supports educating children with no drinking, no drugs. And to me, actions speak louder than words. And if this town council is going to say yes to alcohol on there, I really think it is in the face of the children. I wouldn't mind having it out front, like Carol has said, to start. I know that you said that there was not a lot of traffic on the side of the building. I look at other outdoor seating that does have alcohol. I don't see any in town that are right on the road. While I was out there with you today, within 5 minutes, I got a text on my cell phone, was that you out on the sidewalk of, Italian Village in the tan pants? And I really think that we're going to serve wine out there, we're going to serve beer, alcohol. I really think that it's not going to be a favorable place. Some people in this town have a strong stance, and I think it's going to hurt your business more than help your business. So, and I do want to support businesses, but I look at the outdoor places in town that we have that serve alcohol. We have the Chop House. It's off the road, it's hidden, so our kids in town are not seeing people have drinks there. We have the Matunic Oyster Bar, there's a fence up. They're not seeing that unless they're actually attending with their parents to the restaurant. We also have 210 Oyster Bar. There's a fence, it's blocked in, it's not visible from the road, and we do have Marina Park where kids walk, but it's not visible that we're seeing a bunch of people that we know in town drinking alcoholic beverages right on the sidewalk. And then we have Phil's, which has the top deck, which again, you can't see them. Knowing the clientele that I've been affiliated with in the town, I think you're going to get some flack when parents are driving by with their kids and they're seeing people out there drink. I think that it's going to hurt you. So I would start with the front and then move it, if it's successful there. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. So, does anybody agree with that?
Well, again, I agree with the, staying away from the Columbia Street side. It is right down the street from the high school. I know you say you didn't see anybody today, but on Sundays, days are different all the time. Some days you see a ton of kids out there, some days you don't. And, when the weather is warmer, it's different. I mean, there's a lot of after-school activities now.
It's the bike shop across the street as well in the summer. You'll see a lot of families going in there buying, bikes for their kids. I mean, it's that bike shop is definitely a family thing. So it may have just been today, it may have been, the time of the year, but I almost think that if that does happen, you're going to get a lot of residents coming forward speaking against it. Dan, please.
Okay, so I understand everything going on here. I'm just saying, so there is ample space as far as 40 inches, right? It's supposed to be at least 36. We got 40. So would there be an option of like a time frame, like not on that side till after 6? Something like that? Because I tell you, if anyone goes there, well, after 6:30 or so, especially now, I mean, it's beautiful on that side. I mean, I can understand during the day, and there are people back and forth, but like after, we were there till 6:45, and we're standing there, we're like, I mean, there were no cars on that side at that time. You'd have 20 cars go by Main Street, you're lucky to see 2, especially that way. They're coming more from Woodruff and taking a right or a left than there, and it's just a total different aspect at night than it is during the day when you guys were there seeing it, really. I mean, totally. It really is. But again, I mean, we're here to whatever you guys say, but that is my thought. I mean, there is ample space, legally ample space, and I think at night it's a totally different game. Thank you.
After 6 would still give us the economic viability, and, at that point, I don't know how many students would be around, that we would still, it would look nice during the day. There'd be the tables there that we wouldn't use, or certainly wouldn't use for alcohol. Someone could sit there and have coffee during the day, possibly, and then in the evening, they could transition and have appetizer or dinner there, and that way we've missed the rush hour and the students, and it still would give us a big benefit to have it, as Dan said, after 6.
Please.
I just want to say, this is a first for downtown Wakefield, to allow you to, I mean, if you have the votes up here, you're going to be allowed to serve alcohol on the sidewalk. Like Ella said, I don't think there's another business that we've allowed that in. So I think at this point, we've heard enough reasons why you think they should drink on Columbia Street. And quite frankly, you can't convince me. But I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think if you take if we can give you the 20 on Main Street, I would take it and be happy about it, because this is new. This is not something we've done before. And I know you're pushing very hard for these 10, but I think you have already got a good response. So sometimes you gotta give a little to get a little, and I think we're trying here. So I don't think you ought to push that much further as far as Columbia Street. I mean, I don't know
Meg?
how anybody's voting, but.
Meg?
I have to say, you're working with people at this council table who are business-friendly, business-savvy, and really promoting local businesses. To me, that's the bottom line. Everybody needs to succeed. Nobody needs to fail. I personally would like to see the front section as it is. I'd like to see how much traffic it generates, how busy the business becomes, to see how many people are milling around those sidewalks before we go on for a decision on the other side. It's not that
That sounds fine.
I'm not
That
against,
sounds
I'm
fine.
absolutely
We're
not
good.
against, I'm not
We're good
against
here.
Columbia Street at all.
It'll be
But I
great.
don't know if that's the right answer right now. I think, as Carol had mentioned and Ella had made reference to, this is a trial basis for you and for us. So personally, I'd like to see the front of the building thrive, and I'd like to see how much traffic comes in there. I certainly don't want to promote a situation where you are that busy, which I hope you are, and that your 2 sidewalks are so congested that it could be, again, a liability issue. I don't want that to happen, but I don't want you to not succeed. We're not in the business to do
No,
that.
I understand that. Yeah, we understand that. I think if Paul were left-handed, it all would have worked now. No, that's fine.
Other
we'd like to,
comments?
we'll look at it, and hopefully through the summer, we'll put the windows in and see
Yeah.
see how it looks.
As
John?
far as the front of the building is concerned, what are the council members' feelings about the stanchion? I'm getting, prefer not to.
I,
Put the mosaic in. I'm sorry, Ella.
yeah, I'm not in favor of the stanchions that are there, but if there was something to make that delineated, separated, I think that that's important. I know I disagree with Meg on that, but stanchions that you have are too bulky. I know when I was there, Scott had talked about actually drilling, something into the sidewalk and coming up a little, less bulky than what's here. Or pavement, delineating where the service section is, I think is important.
I just for the record, I'm not in favor of the stanchions whatsoever. I'm concerned they're more of a liability to you, because if you do get busy, people are gonna be tripping over those posts.
Right.
They're gonna be knocking into those ropes. I prefer that they were not there, but that's just me. I would not.
Yep.
I would not want to approve stanchions.
I think we've
I s-
decided we'd prefer not to have the
Yeah.
stanchions. I just
Yeah,
wanted to be, because we had them out there, I didn't want someone coming back later and saying you put in pictures showing stanchions and then you didn't put them in.
I just think that we give it a try without the stanchions, because obviously it's easier that way, and it might work more smoothly. If there's a problem, then when you come back next year for renewal of the
Something
liquor
up.
license, we may say, or whatever council is here may
Right.
say, you need to put some fencing of delineate it somehow. But I think you'll be all right.
Somebody made the comment to me today that would there ever be eliminating the parking lot with the, 8 spots there and doing something there versus out on the sidewalk? And just throwing it out there. I don't even want to get in a
Yeah,
discussion
no,
about
that'd
that.
be
I think
great.
we're in agreement.
Yeah, that's a good spot, too.
So
Ella, there might be.
I'm going to open it for comments. Okay. So we have the public hearing open, and they have done a presentation, and at this time, we've taken questions from the town council, and it's time to take any questions or comments from the audience. So the microphone is open. This is a public hearing, and this is the time where the public can come forward and speak. Seeing none, is there any other further comments here from the town council table before I close the public hearing? Anything else, Scott or Dan or John, that you want to bring forward? Okay, could we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention. Public hearing is now closed, 400. And would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for expansion of a Class B victular liquor license filed by SWT LLC, doing business as Saltwater Tavern, 195 Main Street, Wakefield, by Daniel Calitri, and include his liquor license expansion would be as to the 20 seats out on the Main Street portion, but deny the request for the 10 seats outside, on the Columbia Street side. So
Second.
moved. That's
Okay.
my
And
motion.
can you,
Second.
Carol, can you add, it's going to include all the rest
Oh,
of
yes.
the language?
Said expansion is contingent upon the issuance of a retail sales tax permit by the Rhode Island Division of Taxation, compliance with all town ordinances and regulations, the payment of any municipal taxes and user fees and arrears to the town, and the correction of any fire code violations.
It's also going to be in accordance with what the zoning board approved as to the Columbia Street side.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right, is there any further discussion before we have a motion a second, before we vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 400. So, good luck.
Thank you. Good luck. I think you'll have a great business. Thank you for showing us, Dan.
Bye-bye. Next item on the agenda is communications. This is a communication dated October 22nd, 2014, from Larry Fish, Chairman of the Economic Development Committee, presenting the revised draft of a proposed business survey for review and approval and requesting authorization to proceed with its distribution is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
We discussed this matter at the work session, and one of the issues, obviously, we want to proceed with the distribution of the survey and send it to the Economic Development Committee for their, so they can distribute it to the businesses. But we did discuss the draft letter sent by Larry Fish, Chair of the South Kingstown Economic Development Committee. And I move that rather than it coming just from Larry Fish, Chair of the EDC, or from the President of the Town Council, that we change the language in the letter to say, first line, on behalf of the South Kingstown Economic Development Committee and the South Kingstown Town Council, we are enclosing a survey designed to identify the most important issues facing South Kingstown businesses today. Then it would go on to be signed by Larry Fish, Chair of the South Kingstown Economic Development Committee, and the President of the South Kingstown Town Council. So that's my motion.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? And I'm just going to open it for any comments from the public. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 400. Communication B is a resolution adopted October 14th, 2014 by the South Kingstown School Committee requesting the Council on Elementary and Secondary Education to postpone approval of a request by the Kingston Hill Academy for a charter amendment is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
We discussed this matter at the work session, and I move that we place it on file.
I second that motion.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is comments from interested citizens. And I just want to talk about a few events that we have here in South Kingstown. The first was an event that took place on October 19th at the Elks Hall, and it was a celebration for Walter Dewey Cattell Jr., who has been an Elk since 1968, and he is actually the exalted ruler, Grand Exalted Ruler for the state. His legacy goes on, and I was proudly able to present him with a beautiful proclamation that I'm going to give Dale Holburton kudos for. It was well received and so beautifully written, and was able to present that to Walter Dewey Cattell on October 19th at the Elks Hall. So a real tribute to him. The other things that I wanted to bring up is I think there was about 200 children that attended the Halloween harvest celebration sponsored by the Wakefield Village Association and jointly this year with the YMCA. So very, very successful, and they plan on growing it next year even further. And I was not able to attend the festival fete, but another organization, I don't know if somebody wants to speak about that, who attended that. Another great thing that happened with the Wakefield Village Association.
I was actually only there for a very short time, and it really was not the best of days because we didn't have the best of weather. But there were a lot of vendors. The people who were there really seemed to enjoy it, and I think everybody had a great time. I think it's something that's definitely worthwhile.
The other thing that I'd like to mention is the Johnny Cake Center again is going to be doing, I mentioned it at the last meeting, their Thanksgiving Day baskets. And they're also doing some holiday programs. So they're looking for, at this time, some food donations, I think November 15th and December 9th, so that they can put these baskets together. And I know that here in South Kingstown, we have been labeled as one of the most giving communities. So just for our public, that now is the time to fill those baskets that you may see. There's one here in the town hall, so that we can fill those baskets for the Johnny Cake Center. There's also an event being sponsored by the South Kingstown Partnership for Prevention, and this is called The Unintended Consequences of Marijuana. This is on November 17th from 6:30 to 8 at Amalfi's Theater in Narragansett. And it's to present a science-based facts about marijuana and a better understanding how laws around marijuana can create unintended, unanticipated consequences that affect the health and safety of Rhode Island communities. Person that is speaking that night, I guess there's a panel. It's Kevin Sabay, who is a special guest panelist, doctor from co-founder of the Project SAM from the University of Florida. We have Joey Lindbeck, special assistant to the Rhode Island Attorney General, Nancy DiNucci, who is the chair of the Ocean State Prevention Alliance, and our own Dr. Celeste Corcoran here in town, and John Kimpton. So again, that's on November 17th. This was canceled, and now it is rescheduled, November 17th, 6:30 to 8. Sounds like an interesting dialogue. I also attended the Chalk It Up Against Bullying, sponsored by the Washington County Coalition for Children. I believe it was last Sunday. I'm not sure if I have the date correct. But I just want to talk about the beautiful artistic design that we had, and I think the first year that Washington County Coalition sponsored this Chalk It Up for Bullying, I think there were probably 35 children. This year, I think it was 187 children and their families. And some of the chalk talk that they did on the sidewalk was bullying isn't cool, defend a friend. You must, there was one that was really, I was impressed with. It was a quote from Gandhi. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. Be a buddy, not a bully. It just went on and on and on. The kids did an outstanding job, so kudos to Washington County Coalition for Children. And Carol, you went to the skateboard?
I did. I went to the skateboard park fundraiser on Saturday, October 25th. And it was a great event. A lot of people showed up. Boy, we have some skateboarding talent in this town. And I want to, a big shout out to Evan Mansalillo, who is a 16-year-old local South Kingstown kid who put this whole thing together, did all the social media. And I give him a lot of credit here. His parents should be proud. Everyone should be. But I'd like to see the skateboard park could really be something. I mean, it's something we should spend, take a little more interest in and see if we can get that used more on a regular basis.
I just have two more, Jim, and I know you want to talk about Dave King. I want to remind people that we have the Veterans Day Parade. It's Tuesday, November 11th at 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock is the ceremony at Saugatucket Park. So hopefully we'll see many people out on the streets there celebrating Veterans Day. And then in the mail at our table today, we got something from the Pell Center, and it is an enduring story of a veteran returning from war. This production is called Ajax. And it's going to be in several places across the state, but I do want to mention our Contemporary Theater on Main Street is going to be sponsoring this on Sunday, November 16th at 2 o'clock. So here we have it in South Kingston. It's also going to be aired at Salve Regina, Providence College, Sandy Woods, and Blackstone River Theater, but November 16th, Sunday, at Contemporary Theater. And Jim, it's all yours.
A couple of things. Actually, it's going to start out with last Saturday evening at the Elks. Wonderful evening. It was called Eating with the Ecosystem. And this is all about choosing to eat local and all about seafood and our fishing industry. And that wild seafood is a commitment to the future of our oceans. And it was all about the fact that the climate change, warm waters, cold water regions, talking about the diverse array of fish species. Some familiar, others awaiting your fork. And my gosh, they have 20 different fish and shellfish and green crabs, not blue crabs, rock crabs, crabs, razor clams. A great evening. The Elks did a great job, and the fishermen that were there, the trawlers, the hard work they do, and it's all about sustainability in the future here for the various kinds of food that we should be eating local. And to the comment is, when you're a restaurant, don't always choose the same species. Instead, eat a little bit of a lot of a different local species. So I guess we have to all practice that. But it was a great evening, and boy, those guys, boy, what tough work out there in the waters. And really appreciative, and the Elks did a great job for them. Second thing I wanted to mention, a friend of mine died 2 weeks ago, David King. He was 85, died on October 16th, and lived in South Kingstown. And he joined the Champlain Foundations back in 1960, working managing one of their plants in Canada. And in 1980, he was asked to join the board of the Champlain Foundations and was in charge of the distribution of monies. And David King and the Champlain Foundations, what they did for South Kingstown, our libraries, our schools, whether it be low-tech, high-tech technology, what they did for South County Hospital, University of Rhode Island, what they did for farms and open space, just incredible what the Champlain Foundation did for this community. And Steve, I know you've spent many hours with Dave over the 1980s, 1990s into 2000, and what a great friend of South Kingstown.
He certainly was. Dave was one of a kind. He was the person, I always said to him that I always wanted to get as old as he was and still be as mentally young as he was. He never changed the entire time I knew him. The gifts that he provided, not just to South Kingstown, but to all of the libraries across the state. The technology that was introduced in libraries came through the Champlain Foundation. The open space dedication dollars that have been made available over the years, again, not just for South Kingstown. But he had a special gift in terms of being able to accept grant applications that were no longer than one page, because if you couldn't tell him why you needed it and how much it was going to cost in one page, he wasn't going to read the second page. And he always was able to get to the meat of the issue. And he was a wonderful supporter of the community. He loved our bike path. He walked the bike path, although he was concerned about the hunters. In fact, he even bought his dog a hunter's vest to protect her while she was walking with him. He was a character, a wonderful person, and certainly going to be missed.
Yeah, certainly a celebration of a great life.
Always had a smile.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, great man. All right, any other comments from interested citizens? Now I'm going to open it to the microphone. Come forward. Comments from interested citizens. I think the town council had more than its share to say. Seeing none, town manager's report.
I do want to mention that, as I think everyone is aware, next Tuesday is Election Day in South Kingstown for a number of issues. 2 ballot issues that are local in nature will be on that ballot, the referendum questions. We've had several discussions over the past few months relative to the capital improvement program and the need for additional bonding authorization for the Community Recreation Center. There hasn't been a lot of discussion on question 9. Question 9 is a $4 million bonding authorization, which is a component also of the capital improvement program, which defines spendings that are necessary over all of the school facilities that would occur over the next 5 years. So that ballot question is there as well. The South County Independent will publish on Thursday of this week a local ballot question information flyer. Copies of that flyer, in addition to being available through the local newspaper, are available online for persons that do not receive a copy of that newspaper. They're also available here in Town Hall at the clerk's office, in our library facilities, and at the school and recreation departments. So anybody who needs that information, we can make sure it's available to them to ensure that people are able to make an informed decision on Tuesday, in addition to all of the other questions that will be addressed at that general election on November 4th. With that, if there's any questions council has on any of the items that have been presented in the reports over the past 2 weeks, I'd be glad to try to address them at this time.
Any questions for Steve? Seeing none, thank you, Steve. Town solicitor's report.
I don't have something for you on where it needs
Thank you. Appointments, I didn't see any. Did anybody see anything? Seeing none, which brings us to new business item E, which is page 10. This is a resolution authorizing award of contract to Santa Buckley Energy Incorporated, P.O. Box 1141, Bridgeport, Connecticut, for natural gas at the cost of $6.328 per decatherm based on Rhode Island's Master Price Agreement number 233 for the period November 1st, 2014 through October 31st, 2016, and further authorizing the town manager to negotiate pricing for the remaining accounts as further described in a memorandum from the financial controller to the town manager dated October 23rd and entitled Bid Recommendation. So Steve, it's $6.328.
The memorandum indicates that we are writing the state's master contract for the natural gas contract. The town has ridden that contract over the past 12 months and is looking to have further authorization to continue for the next 2 years at a flat rate of the $6.32.8 per decathermal. The state puts out to contract or auction about 4.5 million decathermals as a means of aggregating the state's needs as well as allowing for municipal writing of that contract. It appears this is the best deal that we can see as far as having stable prices. It's about a 2.2% increase over the prior year. So I'd ask council's approval for that at this time.
Could we have a motion, please?
I move approval of new business item E.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. New business item F is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Liberty Chevrolet, 90 Bay State Road, Wakefield, Massachusetts, for the purchase of 1 3/4-ton pickup truck with plow and 1 utility body truck in accordance with all bid specifications in a total amount not to exceed $80,689, including trade-ins, and as further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager dated October 22nd, 2014, and entitled Bid Recommendation Pickup Truck with Plow and Utility Body Truck.
As noted in the memorandum from Terry Murphy, we went out to bid for 2 vehicles, both a utility truck and a pickup truck. Each of those would have service gates, automated gates, and snow plow. The prices, we initially went out, had 2 bids. We asked to negotiate down those prices. Only one was submitted, which was identical to what had previously been submitted by Liberty Chevrolet. It's the lowest qualified bid. It is in excess of the dollars available by about $21,600. We have available funds within the capital reserve for acquisition of recreation equipment that can be made available to meet the cost within $686. That will come out of the Recreation Department's maintenance account. So I'd recommend council approval as presented in Terry's memo of October 22nd.
Thank you, Steve.
I move approval of new business item F.
Second.
Motion is second. Ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 400. This brings us to the end of the meeting. I just want to encourage everybody to get out and vote November 4th. This is our last town council meeting before the election. And like Steve said, question 8 and 9 on the ballot. Definitely please support our Recreation Community Center as well as the bond for our school department and some of the URI, the bond as well for the engineering. So we'll see you at the polls. Could we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Actually, we're going to, motion to go into closed executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A2 to discuss matters pertaining to litigation, Hang 10 Limited Liability Corporation versus Rhode Island Coastal Resources Management Council in the town of South Kingstown. Could we have a roll call vote, please, Dale?
Council President Whaley?
Aye.
Council Vice President McAtee?
Aye.
Councilwoman Healy?
Aye.
Councilman O'Neill? Unanimous affirmative vote to recess to closed executive session pursuant to 42465A2 to discuss matters pertaining to litigation Ray Hang Ten LLC versus RI CRMC and Town of South Kingstown at
I know, I have all my
Thank you.
packets.
Carol's got 4, she has the outside.